Hey everybody, welcome to our newest lesson. Today we're going to talk about something that really changed the way that I look at how to achieve goals. And this can really apply to any area in your life, but particularly it's going to help when the goal involves another person. So this could be in the realm of sports, it could be in the realm of business, sales. It can also be in the realm of relationships, which by no surprise, is exactly where I learned this. In the community, we had an entire lexicon that we used, an entire set of verbiage and words that we used to really stake how we looked at the world. When we were talking about really how to identify an amazing woman that we would want to meet and how to really initiate a conversation to get her to be interested in having that conversation with us, really it boiled down to a certain methodology that we use. And if we're just talking about the very first step in the process, and that's just the girl and identifying who we want to talk to, well, we have a term for that as well. And in the community, we refer to her as the target. And it's just basic. It sounds like a military term, and it kind of is, but it really is designed just to get our mind set on where we want to focus on. Now that sounds great that we've actually identified the girl, but you can't just walk up to a really high value girl and initiate a conversation because it's outside the scope of what people normally do day to day. It's not very natural and organic. And so what's going to happen is she's going to see that and she's immediately going to think something's up and start to really figure out what is wrong with this guy, why is he doing this? And she's going to be on her back foot the whole time. And more than likely, you don't necessarily have the best shot. And you could be a really high value person. You could have your whole life together. You could be in an absolutely fantastic frame of mind, and it really doesn't matter. What matters is the frame of mind that she is in. In the community, we often wouldn't take the direct approach. Sometimes we did, but most times, if she's talking to a friend of hers or a couple of friends of hers, we're going to probably end up talking to everybody in that group except for her. We cover that in another lesson. But realistically, we have to maintain that we have a goal in mind. We have something that we want to do, and in the community, we always just refer to it as a target. It just lets our mind settle in on what we're looking to do. But just because we've identified a target doesn't mean we have to be fixated on that target. In the end, we've identified somebody that we want to talk to, that we want to get to know more, we're just intrigued by. But what most guys do is they take that frame of mind and they just lock into that target like a jet fighter. And they ignore everything else around them. Their friends, her friends, subtle clues she's sending, anything that's out there in the world, and gets fixated on that. Now, if you're like any other person in the world and somebody does that to you, it's kind of creepy. And in the community, we're really about making sure that the girl that we're interested in wanting to talk to is fully at ease. Now, in sales, it's the same thing. You identify somebody that you're interested in talking to that might want to buy your product. You may know initially, just based on some externalities, that they're going to be somebody that you want to talk to, or it may be something that they tell you in sales that you try to qualify the person to identify that, which again is a really bad mistake. We cover that in another lesson, but it's actually one of the worst things you can do in sales. But either way, you get to a point where you actually have some confirmation that the person that you want to talk to is interested potentially in buying your product. But it gets to a point where you have some confirmation that the person you're talking to is somebody that might want to buy your product. Now, just like in the community, the last thing that you want to do is get laser fixated on this prospect. Because what happens is they start to identify the big target that you've painted on them, and they get to feel a little bit awkward. They feel like they're basically boxed into a corner. And the next thing you know, you're going to get an excuse. Let me follow up later. Can I have your business card? Any number of things that you're going to hear. But much like we did in the community, just because they are the target doesn't mean that you fixate on the target. You want to identify to them, even if they're not even paying attention, this is something that their subconscious mind will identify for them, that you're going to act like you're in any other situation. You're going to talk to somebody else around them. You're going to really just move the conversation around, but you can always veer back to the topic at hand. And when you do that, you actually start acting like a normal person, like somebody that they would see every day, and then they're going to treat you like a normal person. And odds are, if they like you and you get along and they see you as a normal person, they're going to give you a really fair shot. Now, in the end, it doesn't matter if they buy from you. That's your choice, not theirs. But in order to put them in a situation where they're in a positive frame of mind, where they're treating you like they treat everybody else in their normal day, you have to understand who your target is, but not fixate on that target. And in the end, if you do this, you're not going to get the objections you normally get, but instead, you're going to get an innate sense of trust for this person. And hopefully at that point, you don't muck it up. There are other things that we're going to do in further lessons where we talk about exactly what to do at that point. Key thing that I do want to say is, look, we're all going to make mistakes, especially early on. So if you get to this point and you do everything right, and then the next step you totally butcher it, that's fine. I've been there. Everybody in the community has been there. It just means you're on the right track. So you keep listening and keep watching these lessons and keep looking to improve, and you'll start to see the results you're looking for without any effort being put in.